The afternoon sun hung high over the quiet suburban streets of Willow Creek, a small town in Texas. 12-year-old Maya Carter stood proudly behind her homemade lemonade stand, her grin as bright as the colorful sign she had carefully painted the night before. The letters read, "Maya's Famous Lemonade, 50 cents a cup." Little lemons and stars decorated the edges of the sign, giving it a cheerful touch. Maya had set up her stand just outside her family's one-story home, nestled under the shade of a towering pecan tree. She had been up since dawn, squeezing lemons, measuring sugar, and perfecting her recipe. Her mother, Renee, had supervised, of course, but this was Maya's project, her way of earning enough money to join her class on a special trip to the Houston Space Center. As she stirred the lemonade in a large glass pitcher, a soft breeze carried the citrusy aroma down the street. She waved eagerly at neighbors passing by. Mrs. Thompson, her next-door neighbor, was the first to stop by. She handed over 2 quarters with a kind smile. "This is delicious, Maya," she said, taking a sip. "You're going to sell out in no time." Maya beamed. "Thanks, Mrs. Thompson." Cars rolled slowly by, some honking in support, drivers waving. A few people stopped to buy a cup, and Maya's tip jar began to fill with small bills and coins. She couldn't help but feel proud of herself. Across the street, a group of kids played basketball in a driveway, occasionally glancing over at Maya's stand. One of them, a boy about her age, finally jogged over and handed her $1. "I'll take 2, he said with a grin. "Coming right up," Maya replied, pouring the lemonade carefully. By early afternoon, her cheeks were flushed from the heat, and her little notebook showed she had already made $18, well on her way to her goal of $60. Renee stepped outside, bringing a wide-brimmed hat to shield her daughter from the sun. "You're doing amazing, baby," she said, her voice full of pride. Maya grinned. "Thanks, Mom. I think I'm getting better at pitching to customers, too." But just as she handed out another cup of lemonade, a low, rumbling sound filled the air. It started faint, like a distant hum, but quickly grew louder. Maya shaded her eyes, squinting down the street. Around the corner came a group of motorcycles, their chrome glistening in the sunlight. There were at least 10 of them, each rider clad in black leather jackets and dark helmets. The sound of their engines roared through the neighborhood, and one by one the bikes rolled to a stop right in front of Maya's lemonade stand. The basketball game across the street went silent. Mrs. Thompson peeked through her curtains. Maya's heart pounded. The bikers cut their engines, and the street fell eerily quiet, except for the soft clink of ice in her pitcher. She gripped the edge of her stand, her eyes wide as the largest biker swung his leg off his motorcycle. His jacket had patches Maya couldn't read, and his beard was thick and gray. He lifted his helmet, revealing a weathered but kind face, though his expression was unreadable. "Is this where I can get the best lemonade in town?" he asked, his deep voice rumbling like his motorcycle. Maya swallowed hard but managed a small, nervous smile. "Yes, sir. 50 cents a cup." The man chuckled, pulling a crumpled dollar from his pocket. "Make it 2. The moment froze in time. Maya could only guess what was about to happen next. The air felt thick with tension as the other bikers dismounted their motorcycles one by one. Their heavy boots thudded against the pavement, their leather jackets bearing intricate designs, skulls, flames, and symbols Maya didn't recognize. The leader, still standing in front of her, handed her the crumpled dollar with a surprisingly gentle touch. Maya's fingers trembled slightly as she poured the lemonade into 2 paper cups. She did her best to keep a smile on her face, though her mind raced with questions. Who were these people? Why had they stopped here? The leader took a sip, letting the cool drink linger on his tongue before nodding in approval. "Not bad, kid," he said, breaking the heavy silence. "What's your name?" "Maya," she answered softly, glancing at her mother, who stood on the porch, arms crossed, watching closely. The biker grinned. "Well, Maya, I think you've got yourself a new customer base." Another biker, a tall woman with long braids, stepped forward and dropped a $5 bill on the counter. "I'll take 10 cups for the crew." Maya's mouth fell open. 10 cups? She stammered, quickly grabbing extra cups and pouring lemonade as fast as she could. As the rest of the bikers gathered around, the mood shifted. The uneasiness melted into something almost festive. They started joking with one another, complimenting Maya's stand, and pulling out their wallets to tip her generously. "You make this yourself?" one of them asked, his deep southern drawl making Maya smile a little. "Yes, sir," she replied. "My mom helped, but it's my recipe." The man nodded, impressed. "Kid's got talent." He handed her a $20 bill for just 2 cups. The bikers laughed, shared stories, and clinked their lemonade cups together like they were at a barbecue. Maya couldn't help but relax. Their kindness and humor washed away her fear. One of the younger bikers, who looked barely 20, crouched down to her level. "What's the lemonade fund for, anyway?" he asked. Maya hesitated for a moment, then answered. "I'm saving up for a school trip to the Houston Space Center." The group collectively awed, and the tall woman named Shay shook her head with a laugh. "Well, we can't just leave you hanging, can we?" Before Maya could process what was happening, the bikers began passing around a helmet, dropping cash into it like a collection plate. The clinking sound of coins and crinkling bills filled the air. When Shay handed it back to Maya, her eyes widened. There had to be over $200 inside, far more than she ever imagined earning in one day. "Thank you. Thank you so much," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with excitement and gratitude. The leader smiled. "Hard work deserves support, kid." And just like that, the day wasn't about lemonade anymore. It was about kindness, generosity, and the unexpected ways people can change your life. The man grinned, lifting his cup high for the others to see. "Best lemonade I've had in years." One of the other bikers, a tall woman with long braided hair and a jacket that read Shay, stepped forward. She placed a $5 bill on the counter. "I'll take 10 cups for the crew." Maya blinked. "To 10 cups?" she stammered, quickly reaching for more cups. As she poured, the rest of the bikers gathered around, the mood shifting. The uneasiness from earlier melted away, replaced with something almost festive. They started joking with one another, complimenting Maya's lemonade and even pulling out their wallets to tip her generously. "You make this yourself?" one of them asked, his thick southern drawl making Maya smile a little. "Yes, sir," she replied proudly. "My mom helped, but it's my recipe." The man nodded, impressed. "Kid's got talent." He handed her a $20 bill for just 2 cups. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she took it. The bikers laughed loudly, clinking their lemonade cups together like they were at a barbecue. She couldn't help but relax. Their kindness and humor washed away her fear. One of the younger bikers, who looked barely 20, crouched down to her level. "What's the lemonade fund for, anyway?" he asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Maya hesitated for a moment before answering. "I'm saving up for a school trip to the Houston Space Center." The group collectively awed. Shay shook her head with a playful laugh. "Well, we can't just leave you hanging, can we?" Before Maya could process what was happening, the bikers started passing around a helmet, dropping cash into it like a collection plate. The clinking of coins and the crinkle of bills filled the air. Maya's eyes grew wide. After a moment, Shay handed the helmet back to her. "Here, sweetheart. That should cover more than just a space trip." Maya peeked inside and gasped. There had to be over $200 in there, far more than she ever imagined making in one day. Her hands shook as she looked up. "Thank you. Thank you so much," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with excitement and gratitude. The leader smiled, finishing the last sip of his lemonade. "You earned it, kid. Hard work deserves support." Just as the moment seemed to settle, one of the bikers, a burly man with a tattoo of an eagle on his arm, grew quiet. His gaze softened as he looked at Maya, his rough exterior giving way to something deeply emotional. "You remind me of my daughter," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The group fell silent. Their playful energy was replaced by a moment of somber respect. Maya tilted her head. "Your daughter?" The man nodded slowly. "She passed away a few years ago. She was about your age. Loved running little stands just like this. Seeing you out here, well, it's like seeing a piece of her again." Maya didn't know what to say. Her mother, Renee, now standing beside her, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I'm so sorry for your loss," Renee said softly. The man gave a bittersweet smile. "Thank you. You know, helping her out today feels like honoring her memory. So, thank you too." The group stood quietly for a moment before the leader clapped his hands together. "All right, let's not turn this into a cry fest. We've got some more lemonade to buy." The laughter returned, and with it, a renewed sense of connection. As the bikers prepared to leave, one of them turned back and called out, "We're going to spread the word about your stand, Maya. You'll have customers lining up around the block by the end of the day?" Maya's heart swelled with gratitude as the bikers mounted their motorcycles, revving their engines in a farewell salute. She waved as they rode off, their presence leaving behind a powerful memory that would linger far longer than their noise. As the rumbling of engines faded, Maya stood in stunned silence. The helmet full of money sat on her lemonade stand. For a moment, the entire experience felt like a dream. Her mother chuckled softly, breaking the silence. "Well, baby, I think you just made more in one day than most lemonade stands do in a month," she said, pride filling her voice. Maya looked up, her wide eyes sparkling. "Do you think they were serious about spreading the word?" Before Renee could answer, the sound of car doors slamming and chatter filled the air. A group of people from the neighborhood had gathered at the end of the street, curious about the commotion. Among them was Mr. Harris, the owner of the local grocery store, and a few kids from the basketball game earlier. One of them called out, "Maya, what was that all about? Bikers at your stand?" Maya smiled nervously. "They came by for lemonade, and kind of bought a lot." "That's an understatement," Renee chimed in, gesturing toward the helmet overflowing with cash. Word traveled fast in Willow Creek. Within an hour, more neighbors arrived, some out of curiosity, others simply to support Maya's stand after hearing about her unexpected visitors. The lemonade stand had turned into the center of the community, with customers lining up for a taste of what was now being jokingly called biker-approved lemonade. As Maya served cup after cup, she realized the atmosphere had changed. What had started as a simple summer project had become something much bigger. Neighbors who rarely spoke were chatting and laughing together. Parents shared stories of their own childhood lemonade stands. Even the neighborhood kids pitched in, holding signs to attract more customers. As the sun began to set, Maya looked around at the crowd, her heart full. She had started the day hoping to make enough for her trip. Now, she had gained so much more, a lesson in generosity, the power of community, and the unexpected ways people could change each other's lives. One of the kids who had been playing basketball earlier called out, "Hey, Maya, what's all this about bikers at your stand?" Maya smiled nervously. "They came by for lemonade, and kind of bought a lot." "That's an understatement," Renee chimed in, gesturing toward the helmet overflowing with cash. Word traveled fast in Willow Creek. Within an hour, more neighbors arrived, some out of curiosity, others simply to support Maya's stand after hearing the buzz about her unexpected visitors. The lemonade stand had turned into the center of the community, with customers lining up for a taste of what was now being jokingly called biker-approved lemonade. As Maya served cup after cup, she noticed something. The atmosphere had shifted. What had started as a simple summer project had become something much bigger. Strangers who rarely spoke were now chatting and laughing in line. Parents shared stories about their own childhood lemonade stands. Even the neighborhood kids pitched in, holding handmade signs to attract more customers. In the midst of it all, Maya noticed a familiar figure standing at a distance. The burly biker with the eagle tattoo was leaning against a tree, his expression unreadable. Maya hesitated, then looked up at her mom. "Mom, do you think he's okay?" Renee followed her daughter's gaze. "Why don't you go find out? Sometimes people just need someone to listen." Maya grabbed a cup of lemonade and walked over, her steps cautious but determined. When she reached him, she held out the cup with a small smile. "Here, it's on the house." The man looked down at her, surprised. Then, with a soft smile, he accepted the drink. "Thanks, kid." They stood in silence for a moment before Maya spoke. "What was your daughter's name?" He seemed taken aback by the question, but after a moment he answered. "Amelia. Everyone called her Mia." Maya smiled gently. "She had a stand like this one, didn't she?" The man nodded. "Yeah, she used to sell cookies and lemonade on weekends." Maya's smile widened. "I bet she made really good cookies." The man chuckled, his voice tinged with sadness. "The best. She always said she'd open her own bakery someday. Never got the chance, though." Maya didn't know what to say. Instead, she glanced back at her lemonade stand where the crowd was still bustling. An idea sparked in her mind. "Do you think maybe helping me today was like helping her in a way?" The man's eyes softened. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think it was." As their conversation continued, Maya learned more about the man whose name was Doug. He explained how losing his daughter had left a hole in his life, one that time hadn't been able to fill. But seeing Maya's determination and warmth reminded him of Mia's spirit. "I know I can't bring her back," Doug said quietly, "but I can honor her memory by helping kids like you. That's why we bikers do what we do. Help where we can, even if people don't expect it." Maya looked up at him, grateful. "Thank you for helping me. It means a lot." Doug placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Keep chasing your dreams, Maya. You've got a good heart. Don't ever lose that." As Doug rejoined his biker crew on the other side of the street, Maya felt something shift inside her. The kindness she had received wasn't just about the money. It was about connections, generosity, and hope. When Doug and his friends finally left, Maya noticed a small folded note tucked under the helmet of cash. Her heart raced as she opened it and read the handwritten words. "For the brightest light on a summer's day, keep shining. Doug and the crew." Tears welled up in her eyes as she handed the note to her mom. "They didn't have to do all this," she whispered. Renee wrapped an arm around her daughter. "No, but they wanted to," she said softly. "That's what makes it special." As the sun began to set, Maya realized that the day wasn't just about lemonade or money. It was about people, the stories they carried, the kindness they shared, and the connections that could change everything. By the next morning, the buzz around Maya's lemonade stand had grown even larger than she could have imagined. The bikers had kept their word. They spread the news about her stand on social media and through word of mouth. Posts with pictures of Maya and her lemonade stand flooded local Facebook groups. Captions read, "Support this young entrepreneur." "Best lemonade in town," approved by some tough bikers with soft hearts. Maya barely had time to breathe before her first customers of the day arrived. A line of cars stretched down the block. Parents with children, elderly couples, and even workers on their lunch breaks came to see what all the excitement was about. "Wow, look at this crowd," Renee said, peeking out the front door. "Maya, you're going to need an assembly line." Maya laughed, though she was a little overwhelmed. Her best friend, Lena, had shown up to help. Together, they poured lemonade as fast as they could. Even the neighborhood kids joined in, holding signs at the street corners to direct traffic. By mid-afternoon, the stand was running low on supplies, but Maya's spirits were soaring. She had already raised more than enough for her school trip. "I think we're going to need a bigger pitcher," Lena joked, wiping sweat from her forehead. As they worked, the familiar roar of engines echoed down the street. The bikers had returned. This time, they brought even more of their crew. Doug walked up to Maya, his expression serious but kind. "Maya," he said, "you're proof that even the smallest ideas can bring people together. Keep dreaming big, okay?" Maya nodded, clutching the note he had left for her the day before. "I will. Thank you. For everything." As the bikers rode off once more, Maya looked at her mom, her best friend, and the now empty lemonade stand. She had started the day with a simple goal, but it had grown into something she never expected. As the stars twinkled in the evening sky, Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude. Her lemonade stand had become a symbol of kindness, connection, and the unexpected ways people could change each other's lives. The sign on Maya's lemonade stand read, "Best Lemonade in Town, approved by some tough bikers with soft hearts." She barely had time to take a breath before the first customers of the day arrived. A line of cars stretched down the block, parents with children, elderly couples, and even workers on their lunch breaks, all eager to see what the buzz was about. Maya's mother, Renee, peeked out the front door, her eyes widening at the crowd. "Wow, look at this. Maya, you're going to need an assembly line." Maya laughed, though she felt a little overwhelmed. Her best friend, Lena, had shown up to help. Together, they poured cup after cup of lemonade as fast as they could. The stand had become a hub of activity. Neighbors who rarely interacted were now mingling and laughing, chatting about everything from their favorite summer treats to the bikers' unexpected act of kindness. Maya's lemonade stand had turned into something bigger, proof that small moments of generosity could create ripples of change. A man named Carlos, who owned the local hardware store, stepped forward, handing Maya a crisp $20 bill. "I heard about what happened yesterday," he said with a smile. "We need more kids like you in this world." Maya's hands were sticky from non-stop pouring, but she took the bill gratefully. "Thank you, sir." The crowd continued to grow, and soon Maya's mom stepped in to help. Renee rushed back and forth between the kitchen and the stand, whipping up fresh lemonade while Maya and Lena handled the customers. Even the neighborhood kids pitched in, holding signs at the street corners to direct traffic to the stand. By mid-afternoon, the stand was running low on supplies, but Maya's spirits were soaring. She had already raised far more than her original goal for the school trip. Lena wiped her forehead. "I think we're going to need a bigger pitcher." Before Maya could respond, the familiar roar of engines echoed down the street. The bikers had returned, and this time they had brought even more of their crew. They parked their motorcycles in a neat row, stepping off and waving at the crowd like local celebrities. Doug, the burly biker with the eagle tattoo, walked up with a grin. "We couldn't stay away," he said, handing Maya a box of freshly baked cookies. "Thought these might go well with your lemonade." The bikers jumped into action. They helped manage the line, chatted with customers, and entertained the kids, who gathered around to gawk at their motorcycles. Shay, the biker with long braided hair, brought out a camera and started snapping photos of Maya, her stand, and the growing crowd. "I think we just broke the record for the busiest lemonade stand in Texas," she joked, laughing. As the day wound down, Carlos and a few other neighbors made a surprising suggestion. "You've got something really special here, Maya," Carlos said thoughtfully. "What if we made this a regular event? Maybe once a month we could set up lemonade stands all over town and donate the money to kids who need school supplies or lunch programs?" Maya's eyes lit up. "You mean like a lemonade day?" Carlos nodded. "Exactly, and you could be the inspiration for it." The crowd erupted in applause at the idea. Maya felt a warm glow in her chest. Her little lemonade stand had become something far bigger than she ever imagined. As sunset painted the sky in soft oranges and pinks, the last customer was served. The bikers prepared to head out, revving their engines one last time. Doug walked up to Maya, his expression serious but kind. "Maya," he said, "you're proof that even the smallest ideas can bring people together. Keep dreaming big, okay?" Maya nodded, clutching the note he had given her the day before. I will. Thank you. For everything. As the bikers rode off, Maya looked at her mom, her best friend, and the now empty lemonade stand. She had started the day with a simple goal, to earn money for her trip. But it had turned into something she never expected. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the quieting neighborhood, Maya sat on the front steps of her house. The lemonade stand was now folded and packed away, but it had left behind something more than just a clean lawn. It had left a legacy of kindness and connection. Renee joined her, carrying 2 glasses of lemonade from the last batch they had made. She handed one to Maya and smiled. So, how does it feel to have run the most successful lemonade stand Willow Creek has ever seen? Maya chuckled, taking a sip. It feels amazing. She paused, looking out at the quiet street. But not just because of the money. Renee raised an eyebrow. Oh. Maya nodded. I didn't know something this small could bring so many people together. Renee nodded thoughtfully. That's the power of kindness, Maya. When you give, even in small ways, it inspires others to do the same. And when people come together, big things happen. Maya glanced at the helmet full of cash beside her. It contained far more than she needed for her trip. She looked up at her mom. Do you think we could donate some of this? Maybe help kids who can't afford school trips or supplies? Renee's eyes lit up with pride. I think that's a wonderful idea. Maya thought about Doug, his story about his daughter, and the bikers who had gone out of their way to support her dream. I want to make people feel the way they made me feel today. She looked up at the sky, where the first stars were beginning to twinkle. Like anything is possible. As the warm night settled over the neighborhood, Maya felt something stronger than excitement, deeper than happiness. She felt grateful.